The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Let's do it. Time for your top 5 at 6 for a Friday morning. The Twins. Let's not discuss the wins and losses. Let's not discuss the moribund performance of the last month. Let's talk about the fact that we do have one great thing happening right now, and that is Willie Castro has set a record for the Minnesota Twins because yesterday he was plunked for the 21st time this season.
Hey, way to hang into that strike zone.
No kidding. Willie, baby. Now, he came over from Detroit, 6th season in the majors, and he's no stranger to getting hit. But 21 times in one season, that's you're trying hard, buddy.
Yeah, that's what you do when you can't swing the bat.
Crowding the plate 21 times in the modern game. I mean, in 1968, that's just, you're facing guys like Bob Gibson. You get nowhere near the plate. But nowadays, I mean, you got to work hard to get hit 21 times. He said the worst part of it, this Cleveland's got him 4 times this season. He said they're throwing fastballs too. So that was really the worst part. My baseball career was really failure to launch, I guess is what you would call that, because the first day I ever had Little League practice, I got hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
And never got over it. I played exactly one season and broke my arm midway through the season, won a championship sitting in the dugout with my arm in a cast, and then thought, okay, I'm going to go out on top. That's it. I'm done.
Not bad. And that was T-ball to get teamed in.
Well, you got to work hard to get hit by a pitch in T-ball. Talk about crowding the plate. Holy smokes.
And by the way, giving Willie a little grief there because, the Twins this year. But, I mean, he's hitting 2.5. He's not doing bad. He's got a pretty good on-base percentage for a second bagger.
It certainly helps when you get hit 21 times. The OBP is pretty
really
fantastic,
it, doesn't it?
Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. I don't even know how to say this. Researchers at Cambridge University in the United Kingdom have made an official submission. They are calling for the United Kingdom government. Now, this is England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. They're saying, hey, United Kingdom, we need to get rid of pint glasses in pubs.
Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't really care what happens over there. Why is this a big deal?
They're saying we want to get to a glass that's 2/3 of a pint.
Like we do in America.
Smaller, exactly. Beer consumption, they said, drops by 10% when pubs serve glasses 2/3 the normal size. With a change in price. They're not saying charge the same.
Yeah.
They're saying give them less, charge them less, and people drink overall less.
Why do they want them to drink less?
I don't know. Why go back to England if I cannot walk into a place like the average American tourist and go, I'll have a pint?
Yeah.
That's what you got to say. You don't say, I'd like a 2/3 pint, please.
Yeah, right.
Come on, man.
Can I have
what
a
the
small
hell?
glass of beer, please? I don't understand why they want people to drink 10% less beer.
First it's Brexit, now it's this. What in the hell is happening over there? Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. Oh, my word. A 25-year-old man in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is looking at 5 years behind bars, possibly, after pleading guilty to 2 counts of interstate and foreign communication of a threat to injure. What does that mean? What does that mean? Listen to this. Matthew Gabriel, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was having an online disagreement with a member of his fantasy football chat group. And the person he was arguing with was about to take a trip to Norway. So this man submitted an online tip to the Norwegian Police Security Service saying, this dude's coming in from Iowa. He's planning a mass shooting in Oslo, Norway.
Holy God almighty.
Literally filed that online.
You dork.
The Norwegian police take things like that seriously, as you might hope. Dude is picked up on the spot when he lands in the country, questioned, detained. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's a college kid from Iowa. And suddenly he's up for suspicion of coming there to commit a mass shooting. They trace it right back to a 25-year-old dude in Philadelphia, because if you're the kind of guy who's dumb enough to be mad over a fantasy football online chat to then throw in an online threat in Norway, you're not smart enough to then hide your identity.
Right.
That's how that works.
You're just about as big an idiot as they come. Well,
his attorney, we have a little audio from his attorney who's just shaking his head.
I'm sure he did not think it was going to go this far. The Norwegian police spent over 900 man hours dispelling this threat. He really is your average Joe. He's very remorseful to the Norwegian government, to the victim in this case, anybody else that may have been hurt. And obviously, he's grown up a lot in the last few months, and I think he'll grow up a little more on the 15 months of home confinement.
Okay, well, 15 months of home confinement.
Hoping. That's what they're asking for. Okay. Please don't put him in prison for 5 years. 15 months in home.
Here's what I suggest. 5 years for the lawyer and 10 years of hard labor for this hooplehead. He's your average Joe. No, your average Joe, I don't know, tries to hit on his girlfriend, you know, pulls a reasonable prank, doesn't call Oslo authorities and say that. And there was another prank in there, too, I think. There was something. He was going to shoot up a school or something in Iowa.
He's an insult to guys named Joe.
Well, I was going to say, I've never heard average Joe used as such a compliment before. You're just trying to pull him up by his bootstraps.
Ryder and I were talking before the break. This is why both of us got out of fantasy football. I have a buddy that for like 30 years, since we were kids, knew each other. Haven't talked since the day we got into a fantasy football fight.
Really?
And that would be the last day I played fantasy because I didn't take it very seriously. And of course, I continued to win. But apparently I didn't fill out my lineup, and there were a couple of guys on my roster that week that were on a bye. And people are trying to win this league, and you're not. And that was the last time that his name is Joe, and I spoke.
Later.
And that was about 6 years ago, and I went, I'm going to let you a-holes have your fantasy football.
Number 2 on your top 5 at 6. Stevie Wonder is hitting the road next month, and he is going to play the Target Center. Stevie Wonder, 10-date trek. And he's playing. I just lost the date, but it's very soon.
October 27th.
Thank you, October 27th. Stevie Wonder. I love any artist who puts up arena shows 4 weeks away. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just impressive.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for decades. I've seen him once. He announced a show 3 weeks before the show. It sold out overnight, a giant arena show, and it's one of the greatest concerts I've ever seen. And I went in there thinking, well, it'll be great to say I've seen him, and I'm sure it'll be good. The band will be great. No, it was like life-changing. I was shocked. I hate to say, I'm embarrassed to say I was shocked at how great he was.
No, I saw him a few years ago. It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
saw him here. I'd always wanted to see him, and I finally did, and it was unbelievable.
Crazy show.
It's the Fix Our Nation's Broken Heart Tour, I read. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Stevie. Just shut up and sing. Fix Our Nation's Broken Heart.
Who cares?
I'm not a fan of Shut Up and Sing, man.
Shut up and sing, Stevie.
No, I can't go with that. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. The Hawkeyes are coming to town. The Gophers and the Hawkeyes at Huntington Bank Stadium. Let me just go ahead and ask you a question. What's the last thing an Iowa stripper takes off during her act?
I don't know.
Her bowling shoes. There. How about that for an Iowa joke? In your face, Iowans. What's the difference between an Iowa graduate and a bench? A bench can support a family. Ha! Bam! In your face, Iowa. I have hated the Iowa Hawkeyes since 1985 because a friend of mine from Iowa was a fan. There was a football game. It went his way, not mine, and I've literally detested that team. I'm still pissed off at Chuck Long. I got no time for the Iowa Hawkeyes, so I have come to the right place for my Iowa hate.
I guess so. There's a sheet hanging just a block away from here. Did you see that on your way into work this morning? It's Hawkeye hunting season this Saturday.
Oh, yeah, baby.
It's a college kid's bed sheet hanging out. It's
Sure.
A stain or two on it.
You know what would fix, I think, at least Minnesota and Wisconsin's broken heart? If we just all unite behind making fun of Iowa again. I feel like this is the past time we've lost. So please, send those jokes our way. 651-989-ROCK.
More Iowa jokes, less Stevie Wonder. I like it.
I'll go with Iowa jokes all day long, man. I was driving through Iowa a couple months ago, and I swear I thought I saw like a guy out in the field with a sheep, like having relations. And I said, "Hey, man, that's disgusting. You're supposed to shear a sheep, not do that." And he looked at me and said, "I ain't shearing here with anybody. Get your own." That's right, Iowa, in your face. All right, Roseville, Minnesota. What's up? Good morning, Roseville. Happy to have you with us on the KQ Morning Show. A lot of good things happening in Roseville. I mean, seriously, I'm there all the time.
Yeah.
I get a lot of scratches, a lot of itches scratched in Roseville. I like cheese. I think we all like cheese. Here's something I don't like: fake cheese. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
And I have had it with you, Iowa. I can't stand Iowa. Is it working? I really do. Look, I've said it. I've hated them since 1985.
Yeah.
On the KQ Talking text line all day, we are taking happily Iowa jokes before the Hawkeyes come into town to play the Gophers. What do you call a good-looking girl in Iowa? We all know the answer.
Oh,
a tourist.
Easy. My sister lives there.
A tourist. She's not from there.
No, she's not.
That's a gorgeous gal. She's a tourist. What's the best thing to come out of Iowa? We all know the answer. I-35, baby. Come on.
Why does the Mississippi flow south?
Why?
I think it's because of gravity and the slope of the curvature of the earth.
No, you're right. Now you blew the
Damn it.
punchline. Yeah. No, it's because Iowa sucks.
Yeah, baby. In your face, Hawkeyes. That's mine. I just came up with that. I'm sure I'm the first person who's ever done that. Hey, listen, I'm a cheese guy. I love cheese. No slight to our friends from Wisconsin. I really do enjoy cheese. And yesterday, having been National Cheeseburger Day, we did uncover some fairly traumatizing news, really.
Yeah.
That is, an awful lot of our favorite cheeseburgers don't come with real cheese.
You don't say.
Burger King, Sonic, Bojangles, Dairy Queen, not using real cheese on their burgers.
It's Dairy Queen. Come on.
You know, that's it. I'm done with these places. If you can't use real cheese like Velveeta, then I'm not interested.
I have been drinking those blue cheese blizzards for years from Dairy Queen. Love them. And the fact that it's not real cheese, I just don't know what to make of
I'm
it.
going to be honest with you. Real cheese, you ever use real cheese on a cheeseburger? It just doesn't melt right. You need some of that processed cheese food. That's what gives you the goo that we dig.
The craziest part of this whole thing to me is, you know who does use real cheese? The last people I would have ever expected. Taco Bell.
Muy bien.
I mean, go figure. Right on, man. Now, come on. I just the idea of it, and I totally get it. You're right. You know what? You're right. You want the cheese to melt in a perfect way. You want it to just do what you want it to do. You might want to get some processing involved, but there's just something about a cheeseburger with not real cheese. I don't know. It just.
I mean, it's. Have we not known this our entire lives?
It's one of there's a lot of things we know that I just wish I didn't know. You know, it's like too much information.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, look, if you could sit down, if you could walk into the headquarters of the Central Intelligence Agency, and they'll answer any question you have, honestly.
Any question.
But you can never share the information. Would you want to know? Anything about it, anything at all. JFK, aliens, moon landing, whatever's grinding your gears about American, counterintelligence, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, I'd like to know who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. We know that's predetermined.
That'd be a good one.
So, yeah, I could lay a few bucks on that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I got another Iowa joke for you. Why don't the Hawkeyes have a hockey team? They drown at spring practice. See, I'm digging it. I like it. Woo-hoo-hoo. Iowa jokes all damn day long on the KQ Talking text line. One phone call, Tony. Who we got?
Actually, we got a couple. We got Tim and Robin.
Tim, good morning.
Where am I going first, Tony?
Tim on 2.
Tim, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right on, brother. What do you got for us?
So when I was younger, I got into some trouble, and instead of my dad just grounding me, he forced me to come along with him on a business trip to Iowa.
That's a terrible punishment.
But I do have family in Iowa, and I have grown to have a love for Iowa. Probably more than most people have. But
off with you.
Back in the day, it was a pretty boring trip. I think any kid would.
Yeah.
Absolutely it was. Right on, Tim. Glad you survived it, brother. Thank you for the call. You said we have Robin also?
Yes.
Right. We also have Robin on the horn. Good morning, Robin.
Hiya.
What do you got for us?
Okay, you're talking Iowa jokes or, North Dakota or whatever you want to fill in the blank with is fine.
Sure.
It's all Iowa today, brother.
Okay, all Iowa. So what does a girl from Iowa and a bullhead have in common?
What's that?
One's got big lips and whiskers, and the other one's a fish.
Fair enough. All right, Robin, you're the current in-house leader on the leaderboard with that one. Thank you very much for the call. We got to look forward by looking back. Thank you. On this day in 1985, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Tommy Kramer threw against the Chicago Bears 3 touchdowns for 436 yards.
3 times over the legal limit.
That's exactly right.
Drunk as a skunk.
436 yards. They lost the game. But hey, listen, it was the 85 Bears. I mean, nice try.
Yeah.
13 seasons Tommy Kramer spent with the Vikings. 13 seasons. As a starter, his record, any guesses?
Nope.
54 and 56.
All right.
Touchdown, Tommy.
I thought 2-minute Tommy did a little better than 500, but no.
Every once in a while.
Every now and again. On this day in 1988, Cal Ripken Jr. of the Baltimore Orioles sat down, ending his record streak of playing in 2,632 games. He went from May of 82 to September of 98 without missing a game. Did it ever occur to him at some point, like, hey, dude, you're batting like 213. Take a day off. What the hell?
Well, he had most of the year off.
And that's very true.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. You're listening to the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zep, Tony, and Ryder on 92 KQRS.
Good morning, one and all, but especially anybody up in Spring Lake Park.
Spring Lake Park, that's home to the Strew Man, Steve Trusinski, and I believe 2 or 3 years in a row voted 7th most interesting person in Minnesota. Strew Man, good morning, buddy.
Hey, man. Listen, number 7, that's pretty darn, that's impressive.
Top 10.
Yeah, I'm down. Number 7, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I've always wondered, where would I be in the most, what'd you say, interesting person in Minnesota?
Interesting person in Minnesota,
Wow.
yeah. Steve, he is an interesting fella.
I don't doubt that at all.
Lots of inappropriate jokes. That's what
Anybody
I love about
else listening in Spring Lake Park, you're number 6 to me. Glad to have you.
Met his beloved bride, Diana, at the Old Dutch Chip Factory.
The Old Dutch Chip Factory.
Yeah, I believe
They
so.
let you go there?
Oh, you know what? Maybe it was the Pearson's Candy Company. I'm blowing it, Drew, for you this morning. Less was more. I should just kept my mouth shut.
Please told me it was called Ye Old Dutch Chip Company.
Yeah, something like that.
Let's
I had a
hope
friend
so.
who worked there, and he said that the chips that are the most brown have the most sugar.
Oh,
so
really?
they're the most
Is that-
flavorful.
That's
Yes.
why the brown. Oh, see, and I would, as a kid, skip the brown ones. They were, I don't know, icky or something. I just
No,
didn't.
Yeah.
It's
My-
caramelizing. Like,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Had I known, I'm just giving them away like a freak to my brother. Here, eat this. I made my little brother eat it. I put him in a headlock and shove it in his mouth.
My little lad August thought it was Old Ouch because of the font, the script on the label. Old
Ouch,
Dutch.
yeah.
I like those Old Ouch chips.
It's fantastic. I like that. Well, I'm going to look for the darker ones now. Thanks
Yep.
for the heads up.
Yes, sir.
That's a solid tip. Ever been on jury duty? Ever served on a jury? Any of us?
Yeah. I
Yeah?
did. Yeah, I thought the good old KQ Morning Show would get me out of it. In fact, they said,
yeah.
just mention you're on the KQ Morning Show, and then I did that cocky thing where, as I said, the KQ Morning Show, I started to stand up to exit, and the judge said, sit down.
Wow.
Yeah, got me 2 weeks of jury duty. I remember coming in, and my boss at the time was like, oh, come on, man. 2 weeks, because then I got put on a case that lasted a week, and it was a whole thing.
No
He's like,
kidding.
He's like, can't you get out of it? I'm like, I'm pretty sure that would be illegal if I just ditched in the middle of a trial, man.
Bank
So-
robbery, serial killer? What was it?
Unfortunately, it was a child molestation
Oh,
case.
no.
Yeah, local.
Really?
Yeah, one of our high profile was a... well, he was acquitted, so I won't get to that. But yeah, he was a girls softball coach.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
messy,
uncomfortable.
and yeah,
Man, I'm sorry I asked.
I could barely stay awake. Though.
I've gotten called once in my life. I've only been called in for jury duty one time that I'm aware of. Unless maybe there's a warrant out for my arrest somewhere. And I did get out because of radio. I was able to say I was hosting a sports talk show, and I'm afternoons, nationwide, syndicated, blah, blah, blah. And the judge was like, yeah, okay, go on. But I did get asked a few questions also. It was my case was about my case. The case was about there was a traffic accident, and then there was but the woman who got rear-ended was suing a chiropractor. Like apparently she blamed her continuing health problems on. And so the questions were like, have you ever been to a chiropractor? And I was like, yeah. Like, what do you think? And I was like, how should I answer? Like, I want to get out of here. Like, I wanted both sides to kick me off. And I said, I've had some great ones and I've had some bad ones. So I was thinking, I gotta work the angles here. Actually, not true. Never had a bad one. I've been lucky, I guess, or I've just had, it works for me.
If you had answered it, never met a guilty chiropractor in my life.
Yeah, right. That's it. Should have. But I was bounced out of there. Jury duty selection in New York City Monday of this week. David Letterman was summoned and turned up.
Wow.
The jury pool, dozens of citizens all sitting together. How long do you think before they were all like, is that David Letterman over there, the guy with the beard? And it certainly was him. He went through the entire questioning process. Judge asked him what he does for a living, and he said, I currently work for a company called Netflix. And then the judge said, do you have a spouse or significant other? And Letterman said, I've had both. Currently, just a spouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's just being Dave in the jury pool.
Yeah.
I would love to run into David Letterman in jury pool. That'd be great.
I thought it was a nice touch when he, at the end of questioning, he turned around and threw his pencil right into the window.
Right there, bang.
Right.
I would. I think I'd ask him, whatever happened to Larry Bud Melman? That would be my first question.
What did happen to Larry
No,
Bud?
he did.
Sure, he's got to be by this point.
Yeah, he did.
But that was the only time, and I've been registered to vote for decades, but only got the one call. My only time, I've been a part of two trials in front of juries, and the second one was just it was a bizarre trial with my former band, the Black Crowes. And after the trial, and it was a hung jury, and I stuck around to talk to them because I was so blown away by the fact that 6 of the 12 jurors could have not seen it the way it really was. And then I just recognized, like, wow, all they knew was for 2 weeks their life had been shanghaied.
Yeah.
I was like, but wow, it really didn't occur to me until I spoke to them afterwards. Like, oh yeah, like you had to sit through this crap just like we did, and you wanted to be at work and having a life. And yeah, jury duty, that's a tough one. But my brother Bob has been on many juries because he lived in a small town. He got called all the time. He's been on like 4 or 5 of them, been foreman, and he has told me for years, it's a very serious thing. And he goes, I've never seen a single juror not take it seriously.
Yeah,
like once you get in there, it's like, oh, hey, this is the real deal.
Well, you see alleged victims, you see the elected plaintiffs or whomever, and it's all of a sudden these are real human beings in front of you. And the joking around goes away pretty quickly. Not so much in the now before you end up on a jury when you're called for jury duty. They just put you in a big old cafeteria-sized room every day for a week. You have to sit there, and then someone comes in with a clipboard and says, just blathers off some names. And those folks get up and they go out and they're on a jury, and the rest of you just sit there for 8-10 hours a day in the room with each other, maybe 40 or 50 of you, like a big old drunk tank.
Our civic duty, it's a good thing to do. I'm curious about jury stories. Anybody got a good one about how you got out of a jury duty or anything crazy that happened in there? You know, if you got a 12 Angry Men story, juror malfeasance, I'd love to hear about it. 651-989-ROCK on the KQ Talking text line. Check this out. In Maine, members of a jury, they took their job way seriously, delivered a verdict, and then said, no, we're not done yet. Check this out. They convicted a man, 31-year-old Nicholas Carter, convicted of assaulting a child, which is an awful thing. And my man, still handcuffed in the courtroom, decided, I'm going to make a break for it. Right after sentencing, he's cuffed, and he starts to run.
Where are you headed?
And there's CCTV footage. He's running down a hallway. He literally eludes capture. Like a couple guys grab him, but he shakes away, and he's handcuffed. So you can see that the people involved are like, well, he's only going to get so far.
Right.
Like no one seems to be that concerned that he won't be apprehended. But he gets out of the building. He clears the building, runs across the street, where he is then tackled by 2 of the jurors who had just convicted him.
Weird.
Two of the jurors hopped up and chased him. They got there before the sheriff's deputy.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting paid for that. They give me like $40 a week.
Man,
I'll let someone else get him.
that's incredible. How about that, man? That's
That
good
is weird.
job, jurors.
Where do you think he was headed? Maybe just across the street for one more beer. After that, it's prison wine for you, buddy.
Do you think that prison? Do you think do you think those two jurors went back in afterwards and looked at the judge and went, "Hey, so seriously, can we do this all the time? Can we just? Can I just be a permanent juror? Because I got to go back to the belt factory, and this is kind of boring. I'd much rather tackle people that I just sent to jail.
Yeah, no kidding.
Man, let's make that happen. 651-989-ROCK, talking text line. Let me hear your juror stories, if you will. Man, I got to tell you, the trial I referenced involving the Black Crows, we thought we had a slam dunk. Well, we did. We had reality on our side. We had the truth on our side. But we also had 12 jurors, all of whom had college degrees.
Oh, wow.
And the judge said, this is the first time I've ever had a jury where everyone was this highly educated.
I thought it was supposed to be your peers.
Well, yeah. Well, it normally is. And so we, being dummies, thought, well, this means they'll just rationally see what's going on here. And we got the jury seated, and we were like, this is great. We got a really smart jury. And we walked into the room off to the side but the next day the trial's going to start, and we were all feeling good. And the sheriff, the bailiff in the courtroom, like the sheriff's deputy, older gal, been sitting in that courtroom for probably 30 years.
Seen it all.
And she looked at us and she said, man, y'all done screwed that up. And we went, what do you mean? She goes, well, a bunch of smart people like that, they're going to overthink this whole thing. They're going to make your lives hell. She just full on said it. And right then I knew, oh my God, she knows better than our lawyers.
Oh, wow.
She knows better than the judge. That's the voice that and sure enough, that's exactly what they did.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
Oh,
just crazy. Tony, who's on the horn?
Our pal Jerry from Montrose.
Jerry, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great. What's your favorite band? Please say Montrose.
My favorite what?
Band, rock band.
Band? Oh, Montrose, of course.
Yeah. I was hoping. Favorite team, any sport?
Vikings.
There you go. 2-0, baby. Let's roll.
Yep.
All right, what do you got for us, Jerry?
Well, I had kind of an interesting jury duty story. I've been on 2 juries, and another one that I was going to be, there had 32 people in there to do jury selection, and I went to the jury selection in the morning, and I was sitting there in the courtroom, and the plaintiff was there, and the judge was there, and everybody else, and they started talking about the case. And they said there was this guy, and his cow wandered onto this guy's property. And so he went to get the cow, and this guy came out and beat the hell out of him. And they couldn't. It was in Nelson County that this happened in North Dakota, and I was living in Grand Forks at the time. And they had to have it in Grand Forks County because everybody knew this guy in Nelson County, and they couldn't have the jury there because everybody couldn't stand him. Well, they started talking about this case, and turns out I knew who the guy was because I did a lot of duck hunting with a friend whose property was next to his property, and no one would go on his property, and the geese would sit right along the road because for years and years and years he'd never let anybody hunt.
That drives me crazy.
You didn't even want to ask him. Yeah. They'd be 20 yards off the road just kind of clipping you the bird, so to speak.
Oh, boy.
And so they started talking about this on jury selection. I raised my hand. I said, Judge, I can't be on this jury because and so the judge cleared everybody else out because he didn't want everybody else hearing my story. And
right.
So I told him my story, and I said, well, I used to hunt next to this guy's property with my friends out there, and it turns out that one day he had actually pulled this guy's brother out of his tractor and beat the shit out of him.
Oh,
use the language. So No, the judge dismissed me immediately. I couldn't be unbiased.
Sure. Makes perfect sense, Jerry. Hey, thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
What drives you crazier than when someone won't let you hunt and the geese all just, they get it. They know where they're not going to get shot.
Geese are wise.
I was concerned.
Send a dog out there.
I was concerned that there was about to be a twist and a turn, and Jerry was going to end up going to the joint for a while to cool his heels. Wasn't quite sure what was happening there. Hey, you can join KQ's Lisa Miller and the Yellow Ribbon Alliance tomorrow from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. for the Field of Bands featuring Arch Allies, America's premier tribute show at the Washington County Fairgrounds in Stillwater. Tickets at 92kqrs.com. Lisa Miller and Stillwater. That's a great combination. Great town, great gal. Go check it out. Jury duty, crazy stories. That's right. And a cup of poo. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Good Friday morning. Running with the Devil. My God, I just looked at Zepp when that song was playing, and I said, imagine being at the record company, Warner Brothers, before that record was released, but someone gave it to you. Hey, we're putting this out next month. And you put that on in your stereo and just went, oh my God.
Right.
We heard a little bit of Good Times, Bad Times earlier in the show. First song, first side, first album from Led Zeppelin. And those are the two I always think of first. Good Times, Bad Times, and Running with the Devil, where people were like, wait, this band, this is a new band?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's already everything you ever need in one song right there. I still think about that. When I hear Running with the Devil, I always just think, my God, what that must have felt like to people in the industry going, holy crap, there's a new kid in town.
I'll never forget Daryl Bell calling me up and saying, get over here, man. He had a new album. He went down to Sioux Falls and bought a new album, Van Halen. What? Van Halen.
Yeah, man.
And we started playing that in his bedroom, and we weren't really getting into the Zeppelin or the Pink Floyd at that time. We were like 16 years old. That was our uncles, but they listened to that out in the garage. It was kind of cool, but it wasn't our band. And that's when disco was rocking and everything.
Yeah, sure, sure it was.
Everything was very beady on the radio, and that suddenly we had everything I listened to changed after Van Halen. I just went right down that road. I had been listening to Kiss, but even that kind of had a 3-chord. Hey, it was more makeup and spitting blood and just a kind of fun shout it out loud. But Van Halen, that was a game changer, baby.
And I think of Running with the Devil also a soccer game, a high school soccer game we played against a Christian school, and the refs were clearly on the home team, which was not us, and we were just getting screwed. And their fans were their parents. They were really aggressive and we were sort of mocking them, hey, go with Jesus, you bunch of douchebags. It was turning into one of those days. And we won the game on a late goal that they were all losing their minds over. And we got into the school. We weren't even on a bus. We're in a van. And we got in. And as we were driving around the parking lot, the coach actually did a couple circles before we left. And we were blasting Running with the Devil.
Oh, great.
And we were just, because they were just, oh, yeah, you want a little, but there's just, man, that age, 9th, 10th, you're 15, 16 years old, and the new band hits, and that record hits, and everybody had it, and it was just we all of a sudden, to your point, Zep, we all had a secret language now. We all had a new language. That's our, oh my God, have you heard Van Halen? I still get all that stuff when I hear that song. It still just all comes flooding back, man. It's the absolute best. You're going to the state fair. You're shooting a free throw. You're trying to win a teddy bear. You're looking over and you're going, oh, there's no way she'll go. Maybe I'll get a little liquid courage, which liquid courage then meant a little more Mountain Dew. You give me top off the caffeine and I'll go have a chat with her. Hey, is that Cindy Harshberger over there? She's a cheerleader over at County. Oh, my God. Yeah, man, those are good days. Oklahoma State Fair going on right now, in fact. And here's a wild one. You always hear about radio stations used to do back in the day. There would always be these crazy hands on a hard body. Remember that one?
Yeah.
The competition where the person who can touch this truck for the longest time will win it.
Yeah.
We did one down at Polly's. I want to say down maybe at Chaska Way. It was so many years ago. The bar of soap in A Christmas Story. We'd have a bar of soap. You had to stick it in your mouth, and whoever would sit there longest with the bar of soap in their mouth won the leg lamp. We actually had a leg lamp.
Oh, nice.
And then I remember there'd always be 2 hardcores. Everybody would tap out after a minute or 2. We'd get the nastiest soap we could find, a bar of lava. Remember lava?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, not good tasting.
No, but there'd always be 2 hardcores. Like a half hour later, everybody's out in the dance floor. We're all drinking beers, and they're still sitting over there with their eyes watering. We're like, all right, guys.
Lava with pumice.
With pumice.
At the Oklahoma State Fair, they took a page out of old radio promos. They had a competition. They're giving away a Nissan Sentra, and the competition's called the Stinkin' Sentra. And it's real simple. 4 finalists have to sit in a car for as long as it takes. As many days as it takes for everyone to tap out. The last person sitting in this car wins the car. It's called Stinkin' Sentra because, you're just going to start to sweat. It's the summer in Oklahoma. You're going to be hot and sweaty.
And 4 strangers who want that car desperately.
The car's not turned on, I don't imagine. Maybe it is, maybe not. But there was a few rules. You could get out once every 3 hours for a bathroom break.
Okay, all right.
They would let you get out and go to the bathroom every 3 hours. Nothing could be taken out of the car. So if you had scraps from the food fair, anything you have with you has to stay in the car. They're just trying to build the stench. So you weren't allowed to bring anything into the car either. Like if you get out and go to the bathroom, you have your bathroom break. You aren't allowed to. You can't go grab a sandwich and bring it back. You can't go grab a bead neck massager and bring it back.
Because I'd want to get some smelly food in me. I'd start farting them out of there.
That's an idea someone had, but multiply it by 100. They didn't just go with the fart. 2 guys are left, right? One of them gets out for his bathroom break. Returned to the car with a hidden stash of his own poo.
No. All right.
I was trying to simulate the bass in that Bad Company song. Poo, baby. He brought back his own poo.
All right. I guess there are more hardcore people out there than me.
His name was Brian.
Dun, dun, dun.
He got back in the car. The other remaining contestant, Chris, immediately.
My brother Chris. Brian Chris.
Yeah. Immediately smelled it and immediately deduced what was happening.
Oh, man.
Deduced that it was a deuce.
He deduced the deuce.
No.
And he complained to the organizers. He goes, "Hey, guys, this guy just got back in. He's carrying a glazed pinch loaf."
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
The organizers agree, hey, that's not cool. That's not cool. They removed the foul stench, the source, but they did not disqualify the poo carrier.
Well, I'm not, I'm a Brian. I'm not a Chris, but I got to feel like Chris has an argument here.
I think he does.
In a cup.
And so what did Chris do? He said, "That's it. I have more self-respect. This is nonsense. I quit." He got out of the car. So the guy who brought his own poo back won the car. Apparently, you can shortcut your way to victory at the Oklahoma State Fair.
All right. Well, I mean, it's there are no losers in this story, really, are there? No, Brian's the loser.
All losers in this story?
Yeah, that dude, and you got a Sentra out of the fine car, by the way.
Should have been a stinking Lincoln. Too bad he didn't spill the cup.
Well, definitely that stinking Lincoln.
Yeah, no.
Nissan Sentra. That was when my wife Rosemary and I first met and were first hanging out. She had a Nissan Sentra.
Yeah,
and it was a fine car. And I hear when you would sit in the car, turn the key on before your seatbelt. It didn't have like a doot doot doot. It had like these little dee dee dee. And it used to haunt me. Like I'd hear that in my dream. I'd wake up from a bad dream and that Sentra and it was really upsetting to me. It was just got under my. I don't know what it was about that car, but I was never happier than the day we watched that thing. We're done with the Sentra. Get that thing out of here.
Drive on out of there. This does remind me of a buddy pranking me. And put a couple of Taco Bell soft shells under the back seat of my truck, where you never look in the summer.
Never.
Yeah, and it was about 2 weeks of, what the hell is in my truck? I'm digging, I'm looking. It's back behind like a little toolbox behind the seat. And I finally found him. And for the longest time, he wouldn't fess up. I'm like, dude, you're the only one that's been in my back seat with Taco Bell.
Yeah,
it's gotta be you.
It's got to be. You always hear stories about people who break up or move out of an apartment, or a vicious breakup between between a guy and a gal, and whichever one leaves, they'll go buy some fresh fish and put it up in a vent. There's always a story like, she buried 40 pounds of shrimp in my floorboards, and you're always like, why? Just leave.
No fury.
What in the world? Speaking of things stuck inside cars, this is much better. In Miami this week, Miami, Florida, a gentleman was walking through a parking garage and saw a fairly new Corvette, a very nice. Chevy makes a fine automobile in the Corvette. And he thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal this car. I'm going to get into this car, and I'm going to take it. By God, I am a car thief. I'm here to thieve cars. It's what I do. Don't question it. Just take the Corvette. Gets into the Corvette and discovered something that I didn't know until today. Corvettes have a new safety feature where if you go into a Corvette and you're not supposed to be in there, it can lock you in.
Yeah.
It can keep you there.
Wow.
The owner of the car walks back to his car, walks back later, and it's like, there's a dude in my car. And he pulls out his own phone and starts filming the would-be thief. It sounded a little bit like this.
My brother, this is not your car. This is my car. But why are you in my car? No, you can't get out because we calling the cops. He was able to break in the car, but that particular Corvette, if you're in the car and you don't have the keys, none of the electrical components will function. But little did he know that there's a manual door handle underneath the seat that, thank God he didn't know. Just be alert. You know, when you're getting in and out of your car, be vigilant, be alert of your surroundings.
My brother, I love it. I just want to hear the beginning.
My brother, this is not your car. This is my car. But why are you in my car? No, you can't get out because we calling the cops.
What you don't hear the guy was saying, will you please let me out?
Yeah.
The guy's going, just let me out, man. It's cool. You can keep the car. It's like, oh, I know I can keep the car. It's mine.
It looks like a raccoon in a live trap. You're not going to, we're calling the cops. You ain't going anywhere, brother.
Man, I don't care how hardened you are as a car thief. When you're in that car and the guy who owns it is he got his camera out and he's like, brother, I'm calling. You're just like, oh no, I got to make sure no one finds out about this whatever joint I'm on my way to. I got to make sure they don't hear about this one.
Yeah.
That reminds me, we were out one day walking around as kids, what we used to call hooding.
Yeah.
We're going hooding, which means you're just going to do vandalism, graffiti, whatever we get into, we get into.
Ding dong ditch.
Please, a classic. And so there was a kid named Jeff Peacock, and he found out there was some make of car. It was like a Honda Civic, something that everybody had overnight one day back in the late 70s. And he said, man, check this out. And he walked up to one and he put his hands on the driver's rearview mirror.
Yeah.
And he just twisted it and it just came right off in his hands. He goes, these things are so, you just do this, and all of a sudden, boom, he had it. It just fell. He goes, and we're all like, oh my God, that's the funniest thing we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so we then are on the prowl for another one of these cars to find. And there's another kid named Lindsay, and he was doing his best to fit in and be one of the cool bad kids. And so he was like, I'm going to get the next one. And we walk up, and sure enough, within it's maybe 30 minutes later, we see another one of these cars. I wish I could remember the exact make, but we're like, Lindsay, there it is. Go get it. And it's dark. It's a Friday night, small town, dark. And he walks up to this car and he goes, he puts his hands on it. And the kid, Jeff Peacock's like, no, man, you got to twist it this way and then do this. And he's trying to coach him. And as Lindsay's trying to get it, it just won't come off. And as he's doing this, the window just comes down from the driver's seat.
Oh, no.
There's a guy sitting in the car, and the window comes down, and the only person who doesn't see it is the kid trying to get the mirror on. And the guy goes, yo, man, what are you doing? And this kid, when he's got both hands on the rearview mirror, and when he heard that driver's voice go, yo, man, what are you doing? He literally goes, he screamed the highest pitch, like he'd been caught in a bear trap.
Yes.
And he turned and ran.
Peed his pants a little.
I can remember having a very hard time running, just laughing that hard. It was just, unbelievably funny. I just
My
couldn't
brother,
get
this
over
is
it.
not your car.
Exactly. It's the absolute best.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, the weekend is upon us. At 9:25 today on the show, in a couple hours, Jackie Kashian is going to be with us. A very, very funny woman. I look very forward to that. Electric Light Orchestra, Jeff Lynne's ELO at the XL Energy Center. Guess who has tickets? Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zepp, Tony, and Ryder on Minnesota's classic rock. 92 KQRS.
Fridays around here, we like to get our children drunk. No, hold on. Drunk adult. Little kid or drunk adult? Not drunk kid or little adult.
There's a fine line, man.
I get it confused. 1 minute I'm picturing a child with a handle and a scene from Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then I get it backwards. And no. It's little kid or drunk adult.
That's it.
Got it. And we want to play that game because we want to give away tickets to see ELO. I need 2 callers, 651-989-ROCK, the KQ Talk and Text line. 2 callers 9 and 2, will be locked in and competing for Jeff Lynne's Electric Light Orchestra tickets. Bing, bang, boom. Get on the horn right now. St. Paul Park. What's happening? Good morning.
Yeah, St. Paul Park over there. It's my favorite park in St. Paul. Wait
St.
a minute.
Paul Park.
Their own city.
Big one.
I know. There's so many damn St. Pauls. West St. Paul, South St. Paul, St. Paul Park, St. Paul.
Yeah.
This is St. Paul Park,
right.
which the theme song for St. Paul Park to me should be sung to the tune of AC/DC's TNT. St. Paul Park, oi, oi. Oh, doesn't that ring well?
It's got a nice ring to it.
Oh, Broadway Avenue, go do a little just up and down. Come on, let's have a good time.
Bar hopping. That's one of the fine bar hopping streets in all of the metro area. You go over to Broadway, you can walk from one, and when I say dive bar, you know I mean that with the utmost respect and affection.
Absolutely.
But there's a whole bunch of them. Broadway, Park Place.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them. You just walk from one to the other, and when you get to the last one, you call yourself a ride share.
Yeah. You know,
Good plan.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Since moving up to the area, the metro area, as you referred to it, which is, let's see, where are we in September? I mean, we're coming up on 20 months. 21 months. I mean, I'm steaming in towards 2 years up here.
Yeah.
And I've said this many times, and I'm going to say it again. And I don't hit the bars like I once did, but I still love a good bar. And my God, you'll never get to the end of the list in the Twin Cities.
No.
I mean, and I say that, like you said, with sincere affection and appreciation. The good old-fashioned dive bar, the good old bar, just a bar that's got 100 years on it. I mean, there's nothing better. And moving up here from down south, where the only beef with a lot of southern towns is they're constantly knocking stuff down and building anew. It's like Sherman's ghost still reigns over the southern United States, and it's hard to find a 100-year-old bar in a southern city. I mean, there's a few of them, but there's not a lot of them. And to come up here, any number of places. I mean, I've been to 24 spots that I walk in, and the first thing I think is, God, I love bars like this. It's like everywhere. So anyway, just good job drinking, Minnesota. I guess really at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to say.
Winters are long. We need some good brick buildings to drink in.
It's really true, man. They all fit for me. So I'm digging that. All right, we are going to give away a couple tickets to see Jeff Lynne's Electric Light Orchestra. I mean, if you want to go hear a whole mess of songs you forgot you loved, go to that show. We got 2 callers ready to compete right now. Let's get to it. Caller, contestant number 1, Tony, who we got?
Number 1 is Tanner from Coon Rapids, ready to play.
Tanner, good morning.
Morning.
Give me your favorite band all time.
Well, just recently it's been Tesla.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Little Sacramento, California rock and roll combo. Nice, guys. Give me your favorite team, any sport.
I suppose the Vikings.
Attaboy. I suppose the Vikings. Oh, man. It's just, it's every Vikings fan. It's the same thing. I love it. Tanner, we're going to play little kid or drunk adult. Do you understand what we're doing here?
I think so.
It's pretty simple, brother. Zepp?
All right, Tanner, here we go. By the way, Tanner, you ever ridden a bronc, a bull, in a rodeo, anything like that?
Mechanical bull.
That counts. I've just never met a tanner that hasn't jumped on the back of a mechanical bull or a real bull. All right, that's 100% batting average there for the tanners. Tanner, meet Madison. Tell me, was she a little kid or a drunk adult? Come on, computer.
So I freed all the hamsters from the pet store.
She freed all the hamsters from the pet store. Was she a little kid, Tanner, or was she a drunk adult?
I think it's a drunk adult.
I was a little kid. I've always been an animal lover my whole life, and I just hated seeing the animals caged up. So my best friend's parents owned this pet shop, and their daughter and I ended up letting all the hamsters out because it was just the right thing to do.
All right, well,
You were
Tanner,
born free.
Yeah, it's no beat the toaster, but this one is a flip of the coin each and every time.
She released the hamsters, ensuring their quick death at the hands of untold predators. Just countless predators for a fat hamster running down the street. My God. I'm surprised another child your own age didn't kill that hamster, much less a snake or a cat.
All right, Tanner, let's see if you can get this one. This would be Steve.
I got into a fist fight because I lost a game of checkers.
All right, now Steve got into a fist fight because he lost a game of checkers, but was he a drunk adult or a sweet, innocent little kid?
Ooh, I'm going to guess drunk adult.
I was a drunk adult.
Attaboy.
I was at one of those adult game nights that my friend was throwing, and I ended up in an intense game of checkers with a guy I hated from high school. Long story short, I lost the game and then lost my mind. I punched him. He punched me back, and then the fight was broken up. It was crazy.
Yeah, just crazy. Just nuts. If you can imagine.
King this.
Yeah, he got him with the double jump, and that's all he could take. All right, you're 1 for 1. Not bad.
One for
more
two.
here.
One for two.
1 for 2. 1 for 1. Just listen to me. 1 for 2. All right, Tanner, one more here. This is Michelle.
I threw up on a police officer.
All right, she threw up on a police officer. Drunk adult or a little kid?
Seems like a drunk adult thing to do.
So I was a kid. I got lost in the mall when I was a small child. The police found me a little while after. I was kind of wandering around the food court, and one of the officers, he picked me up, and I was so scared about everything that was just going on. I ended up puking right in this poor officer's face.
Oh, right in his face. A little
Face
kid.
it, Michelle. You threw up on Dean Wormer.
All right, Tanner, nothing to worry about there. One often gets the job done in this game.
1 for 3. Good job, brother. Sit tight. We're going to move on to contestant number 2. Tony, who do we have?
Michelle from Randolph is ready.
Michelle from Randolph. Good morning.
Good morning.
Michelle, who's your favorite band?
Tesla.
Double Teslas.
How about that?
What's happening with Tesla? Jeff Keith and the boys getting some love these days. Who's your favorite team, any sport?
Steelers.
What?
Stillos.
Uh-oh.
right.
Zep, someone's flirting.
All right, now this first one, listen very careful, Michelle. No, I'm just kidding. Go Steelers, 2-0. Feeling good. All right, here we are. Michelle, this would be David.
I got detained by the police because I was jump roping naked on the side of the road.
Jump roping naked.
Wow.
On the side of the road. But was he a drunk adult or a little kid, Michelle?
I'm going to say little kid.
Believe it or not, I was a drunk adult. I was drinking like I did back in my college days.
Yeah.
Blacked out. Then, I don't know how it happened. I started jump roping in the street. Stark. Naked.
Stark. Yeah, naked.
How
All
did it
right.
happen?
That's all right. Well, Tanner has one, and you have 2 more shots here, Michelle.
Smokes. I'm just picturing Big Jim and the twins.
I know. That's a little too
unchecked.
floppy,
That would hoit.
Yeah, no
Man,
kidding.
that's the Talking Heads. I think that's what the song Making Flippy Floppies all about. Jump roping naked.
All right, Michelle, let's see how you do here with Paul.
I threw a clothes iron out the window and happened to hit my brother in the head.
Oh, I'm sure that was an accident. Threw a clothes dryer, or what did he say, an iron?
An
Threw
iron, yeah.
out the window, hit his brother in the head. Was he drunk or a little kid?
I'm going to say drunk adult.
I was a drunk adult. My brother was helping me move from my house in college. We thought getting hammered was a good idea. this led to me drunkenly throwing out most of my worldly possessions. When I got to my clothes iron, I chucked it out the second-story window into the dumpster below, not knowing that my brother was in there retrieving everything I was throwing away of value. The iron caught just enough of my brother's head to knock him out cold.
That's outstanding. I love that story right there. Hey, we have ourselves a tie ball game here, Michelle. You can win it with Nathan, little kid or drunk adult.
So I got hit by a car while eating my sub in a Subway parking lot.
Wow, he's in a Subway parking lot chowing down on his sub and he gets hit by a car. As a drunk adult or a little kid, Michelle?
Drunk adult.
And I was a little kid. I was eating my sub in the parking lot, waiting for my dad to come out of the bathroom. A teenage driver wasn't watching where she was going and ran me over. And now I have a permanent limp.
Oh
no. Oh, my God.
We have a tie game, kids.
Man, I tell you, you said it's up 1 for 3 is usually a pretty good score around these parts.
Yeah, we've had more than one tie, 0 for 3.
Oh, many times, yeah. So Tanner and Michelle, trust me, good effort on both your parts. Tiebreakers are settled this way. Tony Lee will ask a question, and you'll both give an answer. The person closest to the correct answer will win the tickets. We'll get Tanner to answer first, and then Michelle. Tony, what do you got?
All right, kids. How many films did Elvis Presley star in? How many?
Tanner?
6.
Tanner says 6. Michelle?
I'm going to have to just, do the Price is Right thing, and I'm going to have to say 7.
Atta girl.
Elvis starred in 33 fine dramatic films.
Oh, God.
33. Wow. Man, well, 7's closer to 33 than 6, which means Michelle is the winner. 2 tickets to Jeff Lynne's Electric Light Orchestra. You're going to have a great time, Michelle. It's a hell of a show. Thank you guys both for calling in and playing. Cheers.
There you go. A couple of Tesla fans riding
Go
up
figure.
in the morning. Yeah.
And one Steelers fan. Fun fact, Brian Zepp, I was listening to Bill Simmons, the biggest #1 sports podcast ever, like the Bill Simmons podcast, huge. I don't know how many, but he's got the entire Ringer universe. He's the all over the Steelers, riding them hard right now, looking at the schedule, looking at that defense, and saying, oh, my God, don't look now, but the Steelers are back.
Yeah, well, easy. This offense is still stumbling along here with Justin Fields.
They are.
And what's-his-face, Wilson on the bench. The defense is solid, but let's not forget they don't even start their conference play till the last 8 games of the season.
They're going to have they'll have a strong head start until that point to get the offense clicking a little bit. But I'm just saying, your little Steeler percolation over there, it might be at a fevered pitch by Thanksgiving.
I think I'm a little more bullish on the Vikings than the Steelers this year, but I always get that way about the Steelers. I think if I don't get my hopes too high, it's kind of like a Vikings thing. If you don't get your hopes too high, maybe they'll exceed them this year.
That's exactly how that works.
Yeah.
You can find Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show podcast anywhere you get podcasts anytime you want. Sponsored by our friends at Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. If you're listening to the podcast, that's a perfect time to go find a Devani's and go strap on a feed bag. My God, they make some good chow.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of this time of year because this is the time of year where the state of Florida finally gets real and finally does the kind of thing a guy like me wishes they'd do every day. I'll explain. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
But I recommend this. You don't go to northern Minnesota in the middle of the winter, have 8 or 9 shots of Rumplemints, and announce to a full bar that you've never been on a snowmobile. Up there in the Iron Range. Oh, cripes, it's nice up there. Anyway, because there will be a man who's had a couple of beers who says, we're going right now. And that man's wife will have clothes for you because they're nice people. They're good people. And what you'll do is you'll get into that guy's $500 truck. And you will drive to his $14,000 home. so that you can get onto his $27,000 snowmobile that goes the speed of light.
She gets it.
Man, Jackie Kashian, who will be in studio with us in an hour from right now. Very, very funny woman. Been doing it a long time, too. She's a lifer. She's a great one.
Yeah, you go up north in the winter and say you've never been on a snowmobile, you usually don't have to get a ride to their house. The snowmobile's right outside.
Yeah. That's
Pull 'em
awesome
right up to the
there.
bar, yeah.
From up north to down south, let's talk about our dear friends down in Florida who, they do this every year at this time. I wish it was all year, every day. I believe it was Sir Mix-a-Lot who had that song, I hate big snakes and I cannot lie. I hate snakes with every fiber of my being. And the 10-day Florida Python Challenge just wrapped up down in the Everglades. This shouldn't even be a thing, but no. Ridiculous Floridians and their exotic snakes. They keep buying these pythons and anacondas and boa constrictors, and they never know how big they're going to get. And then they're like, it's too big. I'll just release it in the Everglades. And now the Everglades are crawling with invasive species of snakes that are totally screwing up the ecology down there. So now the state has a 10-day python challenge every month. They're like, we got to go get these Burmese pythons out of here. So hunters come in from all over the country, all over North America. 200 Burmese pythons were pulled out of the Everglades over the last 10 days, which is just a great start. But why 10 days? Do it every day.
Yeah, just open hunting on Burmese pythons. I don't know why they're trying to control it like that, but they give away some big cash prizes. I was curious. I thought it would just be kind of cool to go down there and find a python. Now, I had watched some videos where they're traipsing around in waders in the Everglades. And then you got to find one to step on. And when you step on, you reach down and you grab it by the neck and they take a screwdriver and you jam it in the head. And I'm like, wait, whoa. I'm a shooter. I'm from the Midwest. We shoot things. But they're not allowed to use firearms, I guess. I'm reading this morning. But they use air guns. Remember that old... An Old Country for Old Men, that bolt gun he had?
Yeah, of course. No Country for Old Men, yeah.
What did I say? Old Country for... What did I say? Grumpy Old Men?
Whatever you said.
And Grumpy Old Men, that air gun
Grumpy Old Men, boom, yeah.
Yeah, they can use one of those.
I tell you what, man, I'm happy to say 200 Burmese pythons pulled out, but I'm surprised. The biggest one this season was only 9 feet 11 inches long. I say only. That's a hell of a snake.
It is.
But last year, I believe we talked about it on the shows. A couple of college kids from Ohio State won, and it was like a 19-footer. Yeah. It was much bigger. Yeah. But 200 snakes. And again, look, my fear and my completely irrational and at this point, frankly, embarrassing fear of snakes has nothing to do with the importance of this story. You start putting in, invasive species, everybody knows. It just takes one wrong fish to screw up a lake. A few thousand Burmese pythons, and man, the Everglades are just a mess right now as far as the animals that should be there and should be flourishing versus what's going on. So Ronald Kiger of Florida, thank you. He caught 20 pythons himself. He got the prize of $10,000. That is my kind of a hero. Well done, Ron.
That's impressive. Here in Minnesota, I don't know if you know or not, but that's open season on zebra mussels. We like to go out and just shoot the hell out of those.
Shoot them, you'll destroy the boat.
We put them in our trap machines and just sling them out there and blast them.
I'm pleading complete ignorance. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, it's one of our invasive species around here. You got to wash your boat, make sure there's no zebra mussels or what are those damn snails
All right.
on there?
Good to know.
I know we don't have those cool invasive species here in the Midwest like pythons. We have zebra mussels.
By the way, since 2017, they've pulled 14,000 pythons out of the Everglades. 14,000, and they say, since the year 2000, it's over 22,000. But they say, there are still countless. I mean, they'll never get to the end of it. It's just they're here to stay.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, each python has a whole batch of eggs, right?
Many eggs. Right. Far too many eggs for me to be comfortable. And by the way, I'm in Minnesota largely because there's no venomous snakes and not a lot of constrictors here.
No, a few little garter snakes here and there.
I can handle a garter snake, not a problem.
Bugs, yeah.
But it's not just snakes that'll ruin your day. I've never been one who's necessarily afraid of cows, but apparently it's just because I don't know enough about cows. In the United Kingdom, Cattle are the leading cause of accidental death in the agricultural sphere.
Really?
And there's a group now in England, Scotland, and Wales called COWS. And it stands for Cows on Walkers Safety.
What?
They're trying to warn others of the various bovine dangers. 22 people have been killed by cattle in England, Scotland, and Wales since 2019.
That's drunk people trying to tip them over, I think.
Most likely.
Just piss them off. Well, during calving season, I mean, that's a real thing. Mamas in the, like I said, whether in the wild, they're fenced in, or they're in your house. You don't want to mess with them, mama. But, we've had cows that you had to, Dad's like, oh, stay with you. They all had ear tags in them,
The total reports, 260 fatalities, injuries, and at the very the lesser version, concerns, they call them, involving cattle. There's all these stories coming about. One farmer's daughter, everyone considered her to be, they called her, quote, a cow whisperer. Right. She gets it. She communicates with the animals. She survived, but came across a cow who did not like the cut of her jib, apparently. Multiple broken ribs, a concussion, a smashed jaw, and dislodged teeth. One of the leaders of this group, cows, his name is David Clark. He was trampled almost to death by a herd of 24 cows back in 2014. He said they got up, looked at me, were agitated, and then they just came after me. It was not a gentle amble. It felt like being chased by Usain Bolt. That's his quote.
That doesn't sound accidental.
He had a lacerated liver, and the cows killed his dog.
What the?
Wow.
All right, I grew up on a cattle farm. We had a lot of cows. Aunt Marianne did lose her spleen to a bull that pinned her up against the barn door. But, yeah, all right, my brother got mowed down by a steer that had just come out of the chute having been branded. Might have clipped his horns, too. But, just rolled him along. It was a good laugh. We still talk about that one. But a herd of cows just charging you? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Was there an open gate right behind you? Sometimes they want to bolt for that gate. I don't know.
Like you said, the tipping cow thing, that's, I wasn't sure if that was just like rural myth, but when I was in high school, kids were like, no, let's go. I never did it. I heard tale of people tipping cows.
Well, we'd like to bring the city kids out, from the big town of Woolsey, South Dakota. We'd get them out there after a couple of beers and try them to get them to tip over a cow, but...
it's like a snipe hunt.
Yeah, right. The snipe hunt. Oh.
Solid.
That's a snipe hunt.
Rock solid. Okay, you know what? I'm always happy for animal stories, but Zepp and I talked about this a minute ago. I can't believe I have to mention something that has no concern really bearing on our lives as Minnesotans or as Twins fans, but as just purveyors of and as fans of greatness. Something happened in Major League Baseball yesterday that doesn't involve the Minnesota Twins, but we have to mention this. Shohei Ohtani, the Japanese superstar who now plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers, became the first player ever in a season to get 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases.
Yeah.
And by the way, he didn't go 50-50. He's now 51-51 after last night's game.
This was a record they said would never be set.
I remember when Barry Bonds went 40-40 and people I was there. It happened in Denver, Colorado. I was at a game in 96 and saw Bonds get his 40th steal. Yeah. And it was just the talk of baseball forever, 40-40. 50-50 seems insurmountable. Ohtani did it last night, but not only did he did that, this is what he did last night. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 2 steals, and 10 RBIs.
That's
last night, not last week.
Game. Yeah.
Not last week. Yeah. Last night, Shohei Ohtani. This is truly Babe Ruth. This is beyond Babe Ruth. This is the greatest baseball player probably ever, as far as maybe not the greatest career. We never know what injuries will do, but no one has ever played this game the way he plays it. And remember, he's a pitcher.
Yeah, right. He plays it like a guy was playing in the late 19th century, in the 1890s, when he'd come out and pitch and bat 6 for 6 because he was just, a better natural talent. This is elite pro athletes who their entire lives have been playing one game better than anyone else on the planet. And this guy just comes out and makes it look near easy. It's
a reminder to me, and I imagine if the interleague play next year, if by some chance the Dodgers come to Target Field, you want to go. You want to see him because I'm kid you not. 50 years from now, people will say, "Did you ever see Ohtani in person?" I mean, he really is that. It's if baseball still held the cult, if it was still a part of the zeitgeist the way the NFL is, this guy would be the biggest star in the planet. I mean, this is like well beyond what Patrick Mahomes is doing. It's well beyond what LeBron James ever did.
Yeah.
It's beyond Jordan. I mean, it's insane what's happening with baseball.
Yeah, probably beyond what Tiger Woods did in those first 6 or 7 years.
That's a good comparison. It's at a level of like
that kind of freakish level.
Yeah, and his teammates, managers, people in baseball. And again, I'm not walking around thinking about baseball every day. I look at the Twins score, I look at my Orioles score, and I move on. But the people in that world they don't have words to describe this. I just wanted to say, hey, by the way, there's some greatness going on out there, and I just had to mention it because I looked at that stat line. I was like, wait, I'm sorry, 10 RBIs. 3 home runs, two stolen bases, just a complete freak. Oh, and by the way, he also is a good pitcher. Now this season he's just playing DH. He's rehabbing his arm, so he's not pitching this year. But next year he will be back on the mound, just bringing heat while hitting the ball that way.
Here is the moment. Yeah, baseball. Here is the moment. Shohei Ohtani hit his historic 50th home run.
Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
He probably ends it.
The crowd is so cool.
I mean, it's amazing. He starts the 50-50 club and then gets one more homer and one more stolen base just for good measure.
Just to show off.
Just to show off, literally. That's incredible.
Not so good with his finances, but you know.
Well, listen, come on. Anybody could have made those wagers accidentally through an interpreter, whatever the hell that was all about. The Iowa Hawkeyes are coming to town. They're the original Hawk Tuas. The Hawkeyes are coming into town to play the Gophers. And so any Iowa jokes, we are still welcoming on the KQ Talk and text line. So very many jokes set in here. This one's gotten a lot of people have sent this same text. Did you know that we have the largest zoo? We just fenced in Iowa. That's an old standard. And then idiots. What does Iowa stand for?
Idiots out walking around.
Idiots out walking around. Or I owe the world an apology.
I love that one.
That's a good one because you got the Iowa in there. That's always strong.
They're fired up on campus here. We work in Dinkytown. I'm rolling in this morning. I'm like, is that a bed sheet hanging out off the balcony? So I pump the brakes and take a look. It's Hawkeye hunting season.
I saw that.
But they got the hawk and then the eyeball below it. And they ruined the one good sheet they had in the house.
That was it.
For the Hawkeye.
Oh, they'll still use it.
Oh, you're right. They will. Of course they will.
Here's another one. I won a contest once. First prize was a week in Iowa. Second prize was 2 weeks in Iowa. And then this one also submitted by multiple listeners. Why do all the birds fly upside down over Iowa? It's not worth a crap. There's nothing worth crapping on down
let's
there.
hope the Gophers can put together 2 halves of football this weekend. I think they are the underdogs coming into this one.
Yeah, they are. Hawkeyes, 2.5, 3, somewhere around there. Yeah. So, what's the difference between a werewolf and a woman from Iowa? A werewolf only has hair all over its body during a full moon. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're rolling here. 651-989-ROCK is the talk and text line. You got an Iowa joke, we'll happily receive your submission. Top 5 at 9 coming up. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. You're listening to the KQ Morning Show. Steve, Zep, Tony, and Ryder on 92 KQRS.
Good Friday morning, September the 20th. Good morning, one and all, but especially right now. What's up down in Shakopee? Good morning, Shakopee.
Shakopee floods every once in a while.
Every now and again.
Oh, you got all sorts of good times to have down there. Of course, the big horse racing track and Canterbury Downs and all that good jazz.
Plenty of things to do in Shakopee.
Yeah, Valley Fair.
And if you're sipping a little coffee, getting ready for your day down there, we wanted you to know we're thinking of you. Thanks for being with us. Right now, as it is after the 9 o'clock hour, here's your top 5 at 9. Things that we think you need to know. The Twins' Willie Castro has set a club record. Not 50 homers, not 50 steals. That was Shohei Ohtani. Hold on a minute. Here it is. That's right. He got plunked for the 21st time this season yesterday. 21 times my man has walked to first base, rubbing out the pain of where the baseball struck his body.
I'm trying to think of when a 60 mile an hour hit me in Legion ball, and that hurt like hell.
Oh, it hurt like hell. He took a couple plunks over the last series with Cleveland. He took a 98 miler amongst all the others.
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, that's going to leave a mark. I mean, I'm all for a high on-base percentage, but man, having to get hit by 21 pitches in a season, that is pretty strong.
And here's the thing, he's a second baseman, quick as hell. I mean, those guys are like rabbits for crying out loud. So, he's just standing in there taking his base. That a boy.
Last year, he had his career high 12 times hit by a pitch. And so clearly, at some point, he was like, let's see if I can double up. And he's still got time. There's still time for 3 more. You can double last season's 12. Well done. Well done, Castro. Number 4 on your top 5 at 9. Bizarre news out of the United Kingdom. We know that our British friends love a pint. Yeah. They love a pint of the lager or the ale or the bitters or just about anything. And now Cambridge University has concluded a study, and they are calling for the UK government to get rid of pint glasses in pubs.
They're not going to do it. That's not going to happen.
I can't imagine, but apparently there's a movement that says we need to go with more like the American pint glass, which is smaller. Like if you get a pint in England, it's whatever size it is. This study recommends doing it 2/3 that big. People are happier with that size beer, and then they ultimately drink less. They won't. If you're going to have 3 full-size pints, if you shorten the glass, they're saying, well, people won't go then get 4. They'll still just have 3 of those. It leads to people drinking less. Yeah, that's safer for everybody.
Like us Americans. That's how you don't get something done in England. You say, let's do it like they do it in America.
Yeah, right.
But imagine my shock when I would ask for a pint of beer at my favorite drinking hole, and then I got over to Ireland was where I first found out that a pint here wasn't a pint.
Right.
I got over and I asked for a pint of beer, and I'm like, what's this?
Holy crap. Is it happy hour?
That's not a point. That's a point.
And the answer is every hour is happy with Guinness. And they're right. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Do you play fantasy football? Do you ever find yourself in a fantasy football league getting annoyed at the rules, or you think your commissioner's playing favorites, or do you think it's just simply not fair? What do you do about it? Well, I guarantee you haven't done what Matthew Gabriel did. He's 25 years old. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And after an online disagreement with a member of his fantasy football chat group, he took action. The person he was arguing with was about to head over to Norway on a student trip. This is a college kid on his way to Norway. So again, Matthew Gabriel, who's 25 years old, submitted an online tip to the Norwegian Police Security Service saying, so-and-so from Iowa is coming to Norway, and he's coming over there to commit a mass shooting.
What the hell?
That's what he did. He was mad about a fantasy football online chat, so he called in an international terrorist threat.
What? And here's a fun one. You take his email address and you jump online and you put it on all those silly little websites, so he gets 1,000 emails a day.
Yeah.
There's a fun prank.
That'll bust
prank. His balls a little bit.
No, he alerted Norwegian Secret Service that an American tourist was coming over to commit a mass shooting. Oh, and that's right. He also called in a fake bomb threat to the University of Iowa from his fantasy football foe.
Prankster.
But here's how it went down. The dude lands in Oslo, Norway, and is immediately taken into custody.
I would imagine.
Of course. And of course, he's a college kid. He's like, what are you talking about?
His pants.
You got to be out of your minds. They get online and trace this straight back to, again, 25-year-old Matthew Gabriel. He is now looking at 5 years in the joint because he pled guilty to 2 counts of what they call interstate and foreign communication of a threat to injure. His own attorney must have wanted to just bitch slap him upside the head.
I'm sure he did not think it was going to go this far. The Norwegian police spent over 900 man-hours dispelling this threat. He really is your average Joe. He's very remorseful to the Norwegian government, to the victim in this case, anybody else that may have been hurt. And obviously he's grown up a lot in the last few months, and I think he'll grow up a little more on the 15 months of home confinement.
5, 6, 7, 8. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, come on,
Grown
man.
up a lot. He's 25.
Average Joe, a little super glue in his hand sanitizer. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Try that. You know, I mean, something.
Yeah.
What am I, dude? Your bomb threats, mass shootings in Norway.
Absolutely insane. Number 2 in your top 5 at 9. Stevie Wonder just announced he's going out on tour, not next year, but next month. He just put up a 10-date arena tour. Tickets go on sale today. When you're Stevie Wonder, you can do that. You don't give people a whole lot of advance notice. Sunday, October 27th, he'll be at the Target Center. I saw Stevie Wonder once because I thought, I got to see him, don't I? I didn't go in expecting it to be one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, but that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Absolutely phenomenal. So go see Stevie Wonder if you get a chance. Those tickets are going to sell out right away, so get on the stick. And then finally, number 1 on your top 5 at 6. Here come the Hawkeyes of Iowa. Oh, baby, the Gophers are hosting Iowa. Minnesota hasn't won a home game against the Hawkeyes in 10 years. Goodness gracious. Fellas, come on. Yeah. Iowa has pretty much had their number. The Gophers won in Iowa City last year for the first time since 99. If you remember, that win was preserved. There was Iowa had a go-ahead touchdown when their punt returner, with 1:20 on the clock, took a ball to the yard. But then the referee said no. He actually gave a fair catch signal, and they ruled it off. It was very iffy, a questionable call. But that brought the Floyd of Rosedale, the Bronze Pig Trophy, was returned to Minnesota last year. So I was coming up here to try to get Floyd of Rosedale back down to Iowa. We don't want to.
I'm Joni Ernst. I grew up castrating hogs on an Iowa farm.
I'm proud of it.
You want to vote for Joni Ernst? You're in town for the game.
I went to a friend's wedding in Iowa in the late 80s, and the TV was on, and there was a TV commercial, and the entire commercial, it was like a white room, like just a white slate, and a giant hog walks on to the camera and turns his back towards the camera, so you just see these giant balls hanging. Yeah. And that was the entire commercial. And then whatever the brand was, and I looked at my friend, I go, what did I just see? He goes, oh, don't worry, it's just a whole hog thing here, don't worry about it. And I'm like, why did I just see giant hog balls on TV? What is the point? And then I don't remember a word after that, because I was just traumatized by the sight of that. Yeah. But at least Joni Ernst was knocking those bad boys off.
Oh, Joe, that's how you get elected down there. All right, we've been listening to Iowa jokes. You've been sending them in this morning. I like this from my buddy Cole. He doesn't have very good taste. I'm just apologizing for Cole.
I like it already.
He's a Gopher grad. I think he graduated. Did you know that high schools in Iowa can't have driver's education and sex education on the same day?
Okay.
It's too hard on the donkeys.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow. Well, I ask you, what's the difference between yogurt and people in Iowa?
Oh.
Yogurt is cultured.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
What's the last thing an Iowa stripper removes in her act?
I don't know.
Her bowling shoes. Yeah. Wow. There's a swipe for you. So, keep them coming. 651-989-ROCK. We're happily submitting and receiving and sharing Iowa jokes all day long. Speaking of jokes, Jackie Kashian, a very, very funny woman, is with us in studio. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was the Scorpions, or if you prefer, the Scorpions. Check this out. Klaus Meine and Matthias Jabs of the Scorpions will be with us on the KQ Morning Show Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. to discuss their upcoming, wait for it, 60th anniversary residency.
Oh, God.
60th.
Yeah.
The Scorpions started playing in 1965.
Right. You mentioned that, and that was a surprise to me. Being one of my first albums was a Scorpions album, and that would have been like late 70s, early 80s, maybe?
They broke through here in 82.
Yeah,
No One
okay,
Like
so
You.
82.
First big hit in America. They were 17 years shoulder to the wheel before they made it happen in America. Pretty incredible. It's that German, that agrarian mindset. You know what I mean? They're just going to keep on plugging. And speaking of which, I don't even know what that means. Jackie Kashian's in studio with us.
You nailed it.
You've been at this for a minute.
I have.
You've been plying your wares out there on the road, making people laugh.
I believe the term is in for the duration.
Is that it? Lifer.
That's the slogan, much like yourselves.
Yeah. So how soon into your very first time getting up and being funny in front of strangers did you go, oh, crap, I'm hooked. I'm never getting out?
You know what? I have never done heroin.
Okay.
But I feel like that's what it would be like when I did open mic. I did a... So the first comedy I ever saw, and I've told this story so many times, if you've heard it before, I'm so sorry, was 1984, Sam Kinison. Madison, Wisconsin.
That's a heck of a time to see Sam Kinison.
Well, it was right before he blew up, and I went to I'd never been to a comedy club before. I was in Madison. I was going to college, and I get to the club, and this is so long ago. Hi, I might not be super young. The drinking age in Wisconsin was 18.
Oh, boy.
So I was 19, and I was drinking heavily, and I heckled Sam Kinison.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Guess how that worked
gutsy.
out. Yeah. And so he wiped up the floor with me, except for I didn't know it.
Yeah, right.
Because genuinely, there's nothing worse than a woman heckler, even if you're a woman comic. Because for some reason, the audience is like, oh, you're being mean to that horrible person in the audience.
Sure, yeah.
I was the horrible person in the audience.
Oh, man.
So I was so bad, I would not shut up so bad, but I was okay with the riffing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the manager came over and he genuinely said to me, open mic is on Sunday. You have to shut up. And so 3 weeks later, I went to open mic and I don't know that I got any laughs, and blessedly it was pre-YouTube and pre-recording and all. I think it was, we had candles. And so I loved it. For the next 8 months, I went to open mic and after a month, there were no women comics, and there were only 5 other comics total in Madison, except for the headliners that would be brought in by Sam Kinison, Bill's brother, who owned the club. So I did stand up for 8 months in a row every single night. I got a 1.8 that semester.
I was going to say, and you were still, so while you were pursuing this, you were, as far as your parents knew, you were still a student.
Right. And remember, this was the 80s, so they didn't pay for college. I come from people who were like, what? You want to go to college?
Yeah, right.
And so
you and me both. I never knew Pell was a person. I just knew I had a Pell Grant. When that guy died and they said Senator Pell died, I went, that's a man sent me to prison? To college? He paid for my college? I didn't know that.
Where did you go to college that it was a prison?
Well, Western Kentucky University. So
well, you're not wrong.
It was like a minimum security, it was like a federal prison.
Right, you got out on the weekends.
Yeah, it was just fine. Man, that I love the idea of you getting started because you're heckling one of the most acidic, probably. I'm sure he lit you up when you dared.
He mopped up the floor.
Yeah,
with me.
that's great.
Yeah.
And then 8 straight months, you're just grinding. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the club burned down. Mysteriously.
Oh boy! Hang on.
Goodness, it was insured.
Yeah.
And so then I would just do the 2 open mics in Madison, and then whatever show that we could cobble together on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I was only doing stand-up about 3 nights a week until I finally graduated. I wanted to drop out of school and move somewhere. But my sister, who lives here in Minneapolis, it turns out is the boss of me. Because she said, you're not dropping out. It took us forever to get us into colleges.
Right.
So you'll be graduating. And she's like, what'd she say? She said, it's only 3 more years. And then the next year she said, It's only 3 more years.
That's how that goes.
Yeah.
Jackie Kashian is in studio with us, and you are at Acme. You've already had a couple nights. You're there tonight, 2 shows. Tomorrow night, 2 shows. And all these years later, I've seen you on TV a million times. You've been doing this all over the place, and you have finally gotten to the spot where you can live with your husband and your mother-in-law and all the pets in a very tiny, cramped space. What in the world were you telling me right before we got on?
I know. It's very successful to own a house and this is a Maria Bamford joke, but we're on radio, so I don't care. Maria Bamford, who is from Duluth, Minnesota, and very, very funny. Yeah. And everyone should come and see her because she is a genius. Yeah. But she she owns a house. We own a house in Los Angeles. As Maria says, it's like owning a tulip in the Netherlands in the 1500s, a tulip bulb. She's like, there's absolutely no reason for this house to be worth $1 million. It's a ranch.
Yeah.
And so we have a house, but it's 966 square feet. And my mother-in-law moved in.
That's a lot per square foot. That's a heady turnaround.
We are stacked like firewood inside this vehicle. But it is. So she brought a dog and a cat. We got a dog during lockdown, and so the 3 of us and then the 3 animals are in this. And she brought a 65-inch television, which dominates
966 square feet.
Yep, 65-inch television.
And mom-in-law shows up with a dog and cat.
Right. So we got a Chihuahua mix because the pound and in L.A., you got 2 choices. Pit Bull mix, Chihuahua mix. Yep. So we got a Chihuahua mix. I had never had a dog before. And she brought a Chihuahua mix and also a little kitty cat. And her animals, we're all dying. We're all at varying rates of speed.
Okay, right.
She's elderly and frail, but the dogs are all 14 years old, and the cat is 20, and so we're all just sort of patting, just sort of, no, but I have this to say about all of us is we have learned in the last 2 years how to be good sports about the whole thing.
Sure.
Everybody is on their best behavior, and it's exhausting. I don't know if you've been on your best behavior for 2 years ever, but it is very tiring. But she tries to, she's like, every day she's like, thank you so much for letting me, we're doing this together. And she's funny. She made me laugh the other day.
That helps.
So, how as you age, no, I don't know. And sometimes you just want to hold your phone out to somebody younger and go, make it work.
Yeah, sure.
So that is what she does. She's like, I don't want to. Please make it work.
Yeah.
And so the other day, she cracked me up because she goes, did they take, is the question mark off of the keyboard? Why did they take the question mark off the keyboard on the iPhone? And I was like, you think that they took the question mark off the keyboard? And she was like, I don't know what woke culture is doing. And it made me laugh so hard because she's a gay lady. And she's just trying to make me laugh, which I genuinely appreciate. She was watching, I think she's trying to bond in some cases. So she was, for about a month, for 4 to 6 hours a day, she was watching comedy specials.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, this is triggering.
Yeah.
I cannot. Yeah. Like, I'll walk through and I'm like, I love Colin Quinn. Get him off my television.
Yeah.
And
so I'm imagining that when for some reason this came to me. Do you remember when we were kids, the game Don't Break the Ice?
Yeah.
That's just you guys
Tap,
you're living a game of Don't Break the Ice. You're just tapping
Little
around,
Jenga.
everyone's smiling, making sure we're all laughing, being nice, remembering thank yous and pleases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is it was hard. It was irritating initially. It became fine. It became irritating again. It became fine. It's life. So you're just like, I don't wanna. Much like everybody, you're just like, this is too hard. Why am I? But then, you kind of figure out when I'm the youngest of 6, and we lived in a 4-bedroom house when I was a kid with 1 bathroom.
Oh boy.
So I shared a room with my sister. We would just have to stagger the bathroom. So I've lived poorly. I've lived close quarters before.
Right.
And it's not And as long as, and my stepmother actually insisted on a great deal of courtesy as well. So she was like, I'm not happy with this situation either when we were children.
What are we going to do about it?
I was like, but why did you say yes?
Yeah.
She was 26. She could have ran.
I'm the youngest of 8. We called our house the barracks growing up because,
the bunk bed system.
Bedrooms and a lot of triple stack. And I was in a room with 2 brothers till 10 or 12.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
The 3 of you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, sure. The youngest 3. We were when you have 8 and then there's like a little gap and then there's the 3 bottom ones. You're just the 3 of you come here. You 3 get out of here. We're just like Manny, Mo, and Jack everywhere we went.
It's like a litter.
Yeah, pretty much.
My sister and I shared a bed until I think it was 7.
Sure.
And I wet the bed until I was about 7 or 8 until my stepmother put the kibosh on that.
You're like, finally got the hint.
I got the hint, but it's so funny. My sister, to this day, sleeps on the very edge of the mattress.
Bless
she's
her
like,
heart.
The trauma.
Yeah.
Bless her. Oh, my gosh. How long have you been in L.A.?
The longest I've ever lived anywhere. I think it's 26 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So what's your memory of the first time you felt the earth move?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that earthquake business is for the bees.
Yeah, my son just moved out there, and he called a week ago, and he was like, I just had my first tremor. I'm like, yeah, it's
You know
not
when you
cool.
go out to the lake, you know when you go swimming in a lake, and probably true in an ocean, this doesn't really go out. But when you go in the lake and your feet can't touch the ground and you're sort of swaying back and forth, that's what an earthquake feels like.
That's right, yeah.
And then if it's one of the herky-jerky ones, it'd be like getting slapped in the face with a wave.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I would like to not be involved in this at all.
That's right.
But because with a tornado, you can go in the basement. And there's also some warning.
I've said it for years. I was in one earthquake out there, and it was just awful. And I said, I'll take a tornado every day of the week. Give me a hurricane. Give me anything you got. Right. Give me a plane with a failing engine overhead. Give me 10 seconds notice. At least give me a chance to run. You know? No, the earth doesn't do that for you.
I will say the flight that I took here, I came from Colorado, which was, I love Colorado. Mm-hmm. It is unquestionably gorgeous.
Yes.
I was in Telluride. Oh. It turns out I'm not good with oxygen at Denver, so you put another 2,000 feet in the sky, and I'm sucking on. Sucking on oxygen, and then I drove a rental car up to Telluride, and there's no railings, and it turns out I don't know if it's vertigo, I don't know if it's whatever it was. I literally felt like I was going to pass out from the dizziness, so I was shaking like a whippet by the time I got to the hotel.
Yeah,
and I was like, someone else is driving this car off this mountain because it isn't me. And they had to, some of the transportation people had to organize someone to do it.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I acclimate very slowly. And I've played shows out there.
Yeah.
And everyone's always like, oh, it must be beautiful to be in Colorado and all those gorgeous outdoor venues. And I'm like, yeah, as long as I don't have to do anything. The minute you have to go in front of people and perform, it's awful.
Right. I was all over the place, and I'm working on a new album, so I don't have all of it memorized anyway.
Wouldn't it be awful if you were never funnier than when you were oxygen depleted? Jackie, that was the best set ever. I don't remember a bit of it. Where's the O2 tank? And then like, no, you got to do it just like that every night.
And then you keep looking for less and less oxygen. You're like, I'm playing Tibet next week.
Exactly.
Just so I can find that energy.
That's exactly it. Jackie Kashian is at Acme tonight. 2 shows, 7 and 9:30. Tomorrow, 2 shows, 7 and 9:30. How many gigs a year are you doing these days?
Well, I live with my mother-in-law, so about 300.
But, yeah.
I'm on the road about 42 weeks a year. So,
damn, girl, that's some work.
Yeah, talk about grinding it out.
Yeah.
But I'm home for 2 or 3 days a week, and then conjugal visits with my husband.
Right.
And then back on the road.
That's it. Gotta go. So what you've done a lot of different, I've seen you on TV, on talk shows a bunch. Have you written, pardon my ignorance, did you ever try to, so many
get into
comedians,
writing?
Yeah, like did you ever want to do other things in TV, or are you just a stand-up?
I have some small, not regret, but sort of, I mean, here's what'll happen when all of those people who wrote for television turn 65. The word pension, because the Writers Guild has pensions. So does SAG, but the Screen Actors Guild. But I'm not on television enough, and so stand-up comedy. There's no union. There's no pension.
Right.
So, I got a pillowcase full of food.
Yeah, right.
And
I got you.
and some drugs. But I never did want. I always thought, and it's better now, I guess. I have friends who do write for sitcoms and for TV and stuff like that. But I always pictured it as just a bunch of people in an airless room, just telling the filthiest jokes until they say something funny. And I like a filthy joke as much as the next person. Don't get me wrong. But they are tiresome if it's every day and for 12 hours a day.
I would just imagine that for people who are locked into that world, they do look at someone who's just in a different place and moving on, and you're constantly being forced to evolve. You have to adapt. You've got to, in the moment and week to week, month to month, year to year.
The job has changed.
It's not very stiff. Sure, it has. And you've stayed very much afloat, but which is a tribute to that. I what I'm saying is, I think if people get stuck in those writing worlds real easily, and all they think about is, man, remember when I used to go have fun?
Right, but I think that some people, it's actually they land on their feet and they're kind of psyched about it. And I will say this about stand-up: there's two things that are really different about it. I mean, there's the one thing that's always been true, which is if you don't keep writing and you don't make it about what's happening currently in your life, you can become sort of like a dinosaur and get stuck in that world where you're just like, you are killing me. You have to write a new joke. And then if I see it in others, but it's a warning to myself. The other thing that has actually been just sort of, talk about a different kind of grind, is I have 2 podcasts, and I have TikTok and Instagram and Facebook Reels and Facebook itself, and I have to constantly be posting clips and stuff. Luckily, I have enough video I have at least 3 hours of material, and I repost stuff. And I'm like, you guys remember this joke? Guess what? It's already clipped out and captioned. You get to see it again. Live it up. And, at least I do new material when I go up, even though there are even a couple of brand new jokes that aren't on any of the albums that I've had to put on Instagram just because I need content, man.
Yeah, sure. So let's go back to the early days. You're a student and you jump up and you heckle a touring comedian. You end up doing open mic night. You end up doing all that. What if at some point along the way you said, okay, this isn't for me? What would have been plan B? Was there a major yet? Was there something else you were actually pursuing?
There wasn't a major. It was weird. I was 4 years into college, and the counselor called me in and said, you have to pick a major. And I said, what's it look like? And he said, you have one more credit in poli-sci than you do in ancient history. And I said, well, then I'm a poli-sci major.
Okay,
and well then Southeast Asia.
Well then you made the right choice.
Yeah, I guess so. It was I majored in political science with a minor in Southeast Asian studies.
My gosh. That is.
I was wandering around essentially just going, I don't know. I want to go to Indonesia.
Man.
And so I took that class. And I still couldn't tell you the difference between Suharto and Sukarno. I know. Everybody's driving to work going, I can't believe you don't know.
That was my next question. Jackie Kashian's at Acme tonight, 2 shows. Tomorrow night, 2 shows. You are welcome back here anytime.
Thank you, sir. It's
great to see you.
Fun.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.